Happy holidays, my dear friends. Hope you're all doing positively, absolutely well this holiday season, for here we are again with another episode of the top 10 favorite and from what I believe are the best performances by some of the greatest actresses of all time. Now see here, ladies and gentlemen, I am starting from 10 and then singing my way up to number 1. I'm just kidding, no I'm not. But always remember, I have seen every film that is attainable of these artists, so these lists come from true and passionate accuracy. This has been a long time coming, folks, and this holiday season, I am so very excited to talk about one of the most popular, electric, iconic, and gorgeous singers of all time, one amazing dancer and mover of musicals, but most importantly, one hell of an amazing actress, Judy Garland. Born as Frances Ethel Gum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, not Michigan, she was the youngest of 3 and was practically forced into the performing arts by her parents, most notably her overbearing stage mother, Ethel. It's really unbelievable when you realize her own mother didn't really want her in the first place, doing everything she could to have Frances as a miscarriage. But when she heard Frances sing, the ambitious performer saw an opportunity, no doubt. The Gum family moved to California, where the real pursuit to motion pictures began. The 3 sisters, Mary Jane, Dorothy, and Baby, which was Judy, that's what they called her, toured about town as the Gum Sisters, where their Christmas shows were fairly popular, mostly due to the powerhouse voice on Little Baby Gum. They had to change their name because the Gum Sisters just doesn't sound too marketable, does it? There have been tons of speculated stories on how they chose the name Garland, but I like the one based on Carole Lombard's character in Howard Hawks' classic 20th Century, which came out in 1934. By 1935, the trio broke up right when Judy changed her name to Judy, based on a Hoagie Carmichael song. And when one door closes, another one opens, when Louis B. Mayer offered Judy her contract to MGM. She was only 13 years old. However, the studio had no idea what to do with her. She was apparently too short, being 4'11", and too cute and too young to be a leading lady type. Mayer actually referred to her as the Little Hunchback, which is wild, right? She was signed along such great glamorous leading ladies like Lana Turner and Ava Gardner. So the next best role would be the sweet girl next door roles. But you know what? She owned those roles. However, that didn't stop her mother and studio doctors keeping her busy by giving her Benzedrine and amphetamine to keep her energy up, and then sleeping pills to make sure she goes to sleep. And then getting up the next morning and going through it all over again. I know, ladies and gentlemen, that since you're watching this right now, you must be very familiar with Judy's journey and how tragic it truthfully is, which is why I'm not going to dwell on it too much here. Judy Garland deserves much more than the tragedy and controversy she's always been given. In spite of her drug addiction, her 2 suicide attempts, for her 40-plus years in show business, she kept delivering beauty to the screen. She kept giving authenticity and the power of the human spirit to our hearts. And she gave everything she got, which made us love her no matter what. You all know this was one hell of a difficult list to comprise on her film performances, right? So many wonderful and memorable performances. And also remember, folks, I am only covering her films, but of course, her concert performances were something utterly magical, including her show at the Palace Theater on Broadway in 1952, where she won a special Tony Award for her performance, leading up to her iconic Judy at Carnegie Hall in 1961, which has been often referred to, and I quote, the greatest night in show business history. And it was the album that awarded her the Grammy for Album of the Year, also awarding her as the first woman to win this award. Her iconic Emmy-nominated Judy Garland show features some of the greatest performances you'll ever see, including Old Man River, which yes, seems wrong in retrospect, but no, folks. Take another listen and you'll be blown away. There are just too many things to say about Judy Garland that can keep us here all week, my friends. But to put it simply, she is one of the most poignant, resilient, powerful, fragile, and human voices in the history of performing arts. So forget your troubles, come on, get happy, as we talk about the top 10 best performances by the one and only darling Judy Garland. Starting off at number 10, we have Little Nelly Kelly, which is such a delightful little film based on the musical by legendary song and dance man George Cohan, with Judy at the height of her career in her youth, even though she was 18 years old when this film came out in 1940. Judy had a huge opportunity here as an actor here, playing two roles. Nelly Noonan, who is a delightful Irish girl, swept off her feet by Jerry Kelly, getting married against the wishes of Nelly's father, Michael. And the second role Judy plays is her daughter, little Nelly Kelly, who looks just like her mother, but has a sensational singing voice. This was Judy's first adult role, and by God, she is just wonderful as both Nellies. Her Irish accent work is pretty damn good, too. Among her other firsts in her career happened in this film as well, such as her very first on-screen passionate kiss. And also, spoiler alert, sorry folks, Nelly Noonan dies of childbirth, and it is the only death scene Judy has ever done in film. It is truly heartbreaking and gives the credibility Judy wholeheartedly deserves as an actor, without a doubt. Also, did you know that this film was the second time Singin' in the Rain was used after the Hollywood Review of 1929? That's right, Singin' in the Rain wouldn't be really popularized until 12 years later with some other film that Gene Kelly did. I wonder what that one was called. Number 9, In the Good Old Summertime. This might be surprising for some, I'm not sure, but keep in mind her performance in this film is utterly fantastic. Based on one of my favorite movies, The Shop Around the Corner, and then later remade as You've Got Mail, what makes this one stand out is not only the beautiful Technicolor, not only the fact that it's a musical version, but it's the magnetic and lovely screen presence of Judy as Veronica Fisher, who already can't stand her coworker Andrew Larkin, played by Van Johnson. The very beginning with her hat calamity is just genius. Also, thanks to Buster Keaton on that, who worked on this film. This is still a good Christmas classic to watch this time of year, even if the title has summertime in it. I mean, look at the sequence with her majestical voice on Merry Christmas, or the more popular, I Don't Care. That is such a fantastic number where she has so much energy and tears the house down. It's amazing. Number 8, Summer Stock. Her next film after In the Good Old Summertime, which came out in 1950. And ladies and gentlemen, do I ever enjoy this film to this day, despite its troubled shoot. Judy was infamously fired from the film adaptation of Annie Get Your Gun due to her extensive tardiness on set and apparent ill behavior. Also due to Busby Berkeley's attitude, who staged the numbers, and she was just absolutely devastated. So she needed a hit, badly, and she got this film alongside the legendary Gene Kelly, who stood by her every step of the way. This was going to be great, but Judy's apparent weight gain caused a little tiff with the studio, not to mention the continuous tardiness, the exhaustion Judy had while making this film, which after going on bed rest for a while, it's understandable she was exhausted. Supposedly one day during filming, Judy was just not fit to work that day, and Gene Kelly feigned an injury of his own so that she could take the day off. Gene Kelly had always remained loyal to her ever since Judy helped Gene with his big breakout film role in Me and My Gal. Despite all the troubles, this little unofficial remake of Babes in Arms is so much fun, and Judy Garland still sounds so lovely, even with her opening shower number, Oh My, if you feel like singing, sing. Truthfully for me, Gene Kelly steals this film, but then Judy Garland takes it right back from him by the time we get to the ever so classic Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. You better chase all your cares away. Shout hallelujah, come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day. Come on, you know it. This performance in Summer Stock, ladies and gentlemen, is so iconic. It never gets old. And it was filmed months after principal photography was done on the movie. Judy lost all the weight she gained, and then boom, they filmed this number, which feels a little out of place considering Judy's weight for the majority of the film, and then boom, she's so slim. It's been rumored this was a deleted scene from Easter Parade, and yeah, she's got the same outfit, but nope, different movie. The movie did extremely well critically and financially, but due to Judy's continuous lateness and behavior, this was the last film she did with MGM, since they let her go once the film was officially completed. This film lives on, no matter what. Number 7, The Harvey Girls. Talk about a perfect film to watch on a Sunday afternoon. Judy is in full charismatic and musical form as Susan Bradley, a traveling mail order bride, don't you love the 19th century, who was inspired to join the Harvey Girls, a band of new waitresses working for the popular Harvey House restaurant chain, which is a real chain, amazingly. Most importantly, the ladies are traveling on the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe, not only the classic railway, but the classic Oscar-winning song of this film. Oh, it is so much fun. But when she arrives to Arizona with the ladies, she decides to ditch the marriage and become a waitress, and a fiery one at that. Her big arch-nemesis shows up at the saloon, played brilliantly by Angela Lansbury, whose singing voice was dubbed in this picture. How the hell can you dub Angela Lansbury in this movie? Angela and Judy are just fantastic here, as she is with Sid Charisse and Virginia O'Brien, and reuniting with Ray Bolger here. The best scene has to be when the restaurant has no meat, so Susan takes some 6-shooters and then really awkwardly stick up the saloon for the meat. It's just as ridiculous and fantastic as you would expect. Number 6, Meet Me in St. Louis, St. Louis. I am sure I have offended multiple people with it being at just number 6. And ladies and gentlemen, you know I love you so much. Yes, this film is one of the most joyous, loveliest, merriest of merry classics that cinema honors to this day. And Judy Garland is just divine as Esther Smith, the second oldest sister of the upper-middle-class Smith family in the early 1900s, St. Louis. Judy Garland really didn't believe in herself throughout the shoot. She wasn't a fan of the script, and she was really unsure of her looks, having her pill addiction within the backdrop of this. However, thanks to director Vincente Minnelli, who made her believe how beautiful she really was, her confidence was increased full throttle. They formed such a lovely bond that really seemed inseparable, which led to their marriage, giving birth to beautiful Liza, even though Hollywood speculated Vincente's gay love affairs. But, side note, that partnership of Vincente and Judy, I think, was one of the greatest things that happened to Judy. She was able to have, more importantly, a friend who saw the beautiful human being that she was, and he made it shine in this delightful little Christmas classic. It just doesn't get any better when you just hear Judy's jumpity joyful clang, clang, clang went the trolley, ding, ding, ding went the bell, or the boy next door. And of course, the poignant, have yourself a merry little Christmas. Judy gives all her charm, beauty, and true effort to Esther that makes her a character to just fall in love with every time you see her. Number 5, Irving Berlin's Easter Parade. Another holiday classic, but this time for Labor Day, clearly. Released in 1948, it tells the story of Don Hughes, Fred Astaire, who needs a new dance partner after his longtime partner Nadine, Ann Miller, wants to Ginger Roger herself and go out on her own. So he meets Hannah Brown, a chorus girl, played utterly magnificently by Garland, to be his new partner, and off they go with some of the best dancing you see on screen. Of course, people always talk about Fred's many partnerships like Fred and Ginger, Fred and Sid Charisse, but people must remember Fred and Judy, Fred and Judy, Fred and Judy. These numbers they do with each other, and this is astounding. We must remember how amazing a dancer Judy was, especially when keeping up with perfectionist Fred Astaire. Judy is without a doubt freaking hilarious in this, and quite frankly compliments her funny bone more than any of her films. Judy really shows up here as the ultimate triple-dipple threat, and Fred certainly enjoyed working with her, that Judy was going to star with Fred again in Royal Wedding. But, need I say it again? She was ultimately replaced with Jane Powell. However, between When the Midnight Choo-Choo leaves for Alabama to A Couple of Swells to the ever-so-classic Steppin' Out with My Baby, this remains absolutely among the greats. Number 4, I Could Go On Singing. Judy Garland's very last film, which in so many ways is like a slight autobiography. She plays Jenny Bowman, a famous singer who travels to London to perform a tour, but wants to reconnect with her son and retain the family she lost because of her singing career and unstable lifestyle. This might hit a little too close to home, you may say. And yes, folks, this film itself is not by any means a great picture. However, as said in many reviews of its initial release, either you are or you're not a Judy Garland fan, that is. And if you are, you will be glued to her, as honestly anyone really will be every time they watch her. The scenes of her concert performances almost feel reminiscent of her Judy Garland show performances, which Judy herself insisted she sang live rather than lip sync. But the scenes of her heightened dramatic fire are, oh my God, they are astounding. It could be seen as too melodramatic, but like I said, if you are a Judy Garland fan, you will feel the weight on every line she gives, every action she gives, and it's truly heartbreaking. Many of her scenes with Dick Bogart were improvised and rewritten because, one, the script was horrible. Jenny Bowman is a character that only Judy Garland knows how to bring to life, and man, did she bring her alive and kicking. Once again, this film was a troubled project because of her addiction and lateness. And director Ronald Neame has talked about it extensively on how was he going to please her and get the film done even though he wasn't sure if he even had the job the next morning. He said Judy was infamous of trying to get rid of directors, and that only came true with the case of Busby Berkeley. It was quite unpleasant, but even through Judy's mood swings, she still remembered the loving and giving Judy she was. And when it did come to the ultimate showtime, she delivered with flying colors. For any Judy fan, give this film a watch, just for Judy's magnetic performance here. Number 3, Judgment at Nuremberg. One of the greatest and underrated films I've ever seen, with Judy giving an absolutely towering and powerful Academy Award-nominated performance as Irene Hoffman, a Jewish witness who agrees to take the stand to testify against the 4 German judges on trial for their assistance in the Nazi crimes of World War II. Her first scene of just being staged in the background darkness like that is unreal, and then makes herself known and aware of what possible good can be done with her testimony. And then, of course, her cross-examination scene by defense counsel Hans Rolf, played brilliantly by Academy Award winner Maximilian Schell. It is just masterclass acting through and through. Her scene on that stand with how she's trying to keep her composure together is earth-shattering. Judy again was very nervous with returning to film after a 7-year absence, on top of her weight gain. But once a pro, always a pro, in my book. Pros can get rusty, but they always want the grease to improve. She broke down to director Stanley Kramer herself, saying that she couldn't do it. But with enough coaching, enough love, she was able to turn in one hell of a performance that if Rena Moreno didn't do West Side Story that year, the Oscar should have gone to Judy, absolutely. Her accent work is done really, really well too, thanks to the coaching of amazing actor and instructor Uta Hagen. This would be one of the few times, oddly, to say that Judy's reputation of being late and radical ill behavior was not present during the filmmaking of this masterpiece. Mainly because it's been speculated Judy felt more comfortable being a supporting character and not carrying a whole film like she always did practically. And the fact that everyone, absolutely everyone on set welcomed her with such love. Judgment at Nuremberg remains such a treasure of filmmaking, thanks to the performances, most specifically, thanks to Judy's. Number 2, Oh, we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Ah, the Wizard of Oz. Has anybody seen this film? Well, if you haven't, I am truthfully shocked. It is only regarded as one of the greatest motion pictures of all time, with Judy Garland leading it all the way. Judy was riding high with her climbing success behind her other supporting roles in musicals that MGM took the plunge and cast her as Dorothy Gale in this classic film adaptation of Frank L. Baum's popular Oz books. Guys, I can't tell you enough how much not only I love this film, but this remains a true, dear favorite of my mom's forever. Can't you just tell with all the collectibles of the man behind the curtain that we shouldn't pay attention to? Yes, it is quite a treasure for my whole family. Like millions upon millions, Judy's performance here was the very first introduction of who Judy was within her teenage years. Some say not much of a performance is here, and it's not that spectacular. She just plays a child with a good singing voice. And I say, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, my friend. And not say that around a bunch of Judeans, if you catch my drift here. This was Judy's big break, and as a 16-year-old, she is given the ultimate task to carry this film. And gosh, she gives this film everything that makes it so charming and memorable. With wearing a corset that was way too uncomfortable since it had to flatten her chest, by being sexually harassed by some of the Munchkin ensemble, having constant takes and reshoots since directors were shuffled out like canasta, and all while Judy was carrying on a pill addiction as a 16-year-old. Indeed, in spite of all the trouble behind the scenes, Judy Garland delivers one of the most memorable performances in film history. From her joyful play where she meets each one of her new friends, the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, to her frightened breakdown when she's captured by the Wicked Witch. I'm frightened, Annie M, I'm frightened. To the lovable and heartwarming Over the Rainbow. Would you believe this song was almost completely cut from this film? The producer said it slowed the movie down. Thankfully, that nonsense was thrown out because honestly, how would we have the Dorothy that we have without that song? That song connects all of us. For her special performance in this film, Judy was given the special Juvenile Academy Award, and deservedly so. She remains only one of 12 young honorees of this award. May this film and her performance always be preserved for the visual and heartwarming masterpiece that it is. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are some honorable mentions. Babes in Arms, the third film pairing of Judy and Mickey together, loosely based on Richard Rodgers' Broadway show about the classic Mickey Moran and Patsy Barton gathering the babes in arms to put on a show to raise money for their vaudevillian parents. Audiences were so enamored with Mickey and Judy together, and wouldn't you know it, this came out the same year as Wizard of Oz, and outgrossed it. Needless to say, Judy's performance as Patsy was shared with her performance as Dorothy for the Academy Award that year. And when you see her and Mickey sing and dance together, God, it is just magic, especially with Good Morning. And you thought it was featured in Singing in the Rain first. No, sir. Such a fun film, except for the blackface number. Yeah, that's not good. Strike Up the Band, a combo of the Gershwins and Roger Eden's beautimous music with Mickey and Judy at it again right after Babes in Arms, which was such a huge hit that to promote this picture, they had Mickey and Judy tour with the movie and perform live in between screenings of the film. Once again, this film blew the box office away, just like Babes in Arms, and Judy and Mickey remained at the height of their youthful powers, being in the top 10 highest grossers within this time frame, with lovely renditions of Our Love Affair and I Ain't Got Nobody. Babes on Broadway, which I love this picture. Mickey and Judy are at it again, of course, but different babes this time, with Busby Berkeley directing again, and in many ways, this is a much better picture than Babes in Arms to me. It really showcases such an ensemble with the utmost talent and ability. Despite the minstrel show again, so horrible. We don't blame you, Judy. But hey, we get Mickey Rooney in drag. That's fun. and Judy's exquisite performance of Frieden Lane's How About You? Another truly fun one that really shows everybody how fun it is to do theater. Girl Crazy, honestly to me, the best of the Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland pairings because of the different and elevated dynamic between Mickey and Judy in this film. And to see how all the choreography was adapted for the screen directly from the Broadway hit is just dazzling. Not to mention an all Gershwin score and songbook. Judy is freaking hilarious in this film. The whole scene where Mickey is trying to hit on her is just classic. There's just nothing like seeing Judy in her cowgirl hat singing, I got rhythm, I got music, who can ask for anything more? Except for her original director, Busby Berkeley, to be fired, which he was. This was the beginning point of Judy having demands, and with the personality clash between she and Berkeley, she had to have much more of a fun time on set, and she certainly did once Berkeley left. Just remember the classic, embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. These musicals she did with Mickey Rooney absolutely showcase the amazing perseverance she had as a child star and power of an icon that millions will treasure for years to come. The Clock, technically Judy's very first full drama with no singing. Isn't that wild? But you know what? It works beautifully. I honestly think this picture is very underrated, and Judy's performance is so magical playing Alice, who just happens to meet Corporal Joe, who's on his 48-hour leave. He ends up spending his whole leave with her and decides he wants to marry her. A brief take on the shopworn angel, but this one is much sweeter because of the great chemistry between Judy and Robert Walker, but most notably, Judy. For this being her first full drama, she knocks it out of the park. But audiences weren't really ready to see a dramatic Judy without music yet, which is why this film was sadly overlooked. It's now regarded as a true classic, as it should be. So I say, watch this film for the beauty that is Judy, inside and out. Number 1. Need I say it, folks? Without a single doubt in the world, A Star is Born. The 1954 adaptation of the classic story, which in my opinion is the ultimate best. When you compare all film adaptations, you know what is the defining separator? 2 words. Judy frickin' Garland. Claimed by millions, including myself, as one of the greatest performances given by an actor in film, period. Her performance as Esther Blodgett, who becomes Vicky Lester, is something artists aspire to. A chance to give a character like Esther a full 3-dimension and power that we've never seen before. And God, Judy gives her whole body and soul to Esther. My God, her performance of the iconic The Man That Got Away has moved mountains, literally. I don't know if you know this, but it's true. Every musical performance is a masterclass, not to mention her 2 big popular dramatic scenes. The scene where, you mean you're just going to sit here forever? Yes, tonight and tomorrow night and for as long as I like. It's an utterly fragile scene. And who can forget her ultimate monologue in her dressing room? Jesus, it's unreal. When she pauses in between saying, but I, covers her mouth. Hate him for failing. She is so broken that she can't say it, but she needs to get it out. It's so devastating because audiences all around the world know this character, yes, but we also know Judy and her rise and decline about this time. And seeing the fragile power that she takes control of here brings us to multiple tears. The initial version ran 3 hours. Then the studio cut it down immensely, even though it shouldn't have been touched. However, the restored version at 2.5 hours is still a great achievement, despite all of its challenges. This was indeed the ultimate case of Judy's illnesses, addictions, sleepless nights, causing the huge delays on the picture, almost 9+ months, and costing the studio hundreds of thousands of dollars. When the film premiered, the box office was Not very kind, but critically well-reviewed, including multiple Academy Award nominations, especially for Best Actress for Judy. Judy couldn't attend the Oscars since she had to rest at the hospital. Everyone was absolutely sure, deadlocked, that Judy was going to win the Oscar for Best Actress. And when the night came and they announced the winner is Grace Kelly for The Country Girl, shock and dismay. Don't get me wrong, Grace Kelly gives an absolutely fantastic and Oscar-worthy performance in The Country Girl. She is wonderful in it. But that Oscar belonged to Judy. Groucho Marx later said it was the worst robbery since Brinks, and millions have agreed. The mindset and politics of Grace Kelly being awarded the Oscar is covered beautifully with such depth on Be Kind Rewind, another YouTube channel which I absolutely love. Judy was initially devastated and has worked on progressing ever since. But as we all look back now, what is mostly remembered? The Country Girl or A Star is Born? You know the answer to that one. Judy Garland's show-stopping performance as Esther will always live in the limelight of legends. You look on any critic circle, for years and years, it always had Judy's performance as Esther as one of the absolute iconic and best in cinema history. As hard as we all try, ladies and gentlemen, there are just not enough words to describe the value and power that is Judy Garland. She has inspired countless millions all around the world to be in touch with their real and genuine selves, reach for the stars, not to mention somewhere over the rainbow. In her own words, be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. She has been honored in many ways posthumously with a Lifetime Grammy Award, at 39 being the youngest recipient of the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes, inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, having her own museum in her own hometown in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and to this day, AFI rate her among the top 10 greatest actresses of classic cinema. There have been countless biographies written about her, and of course, a couple biographies made into television and film, including Renee Zellweger's Oscar-winning portrayal as her in Judy, which honestly, she may have gotten the detailed body language down. But once again, only Judy Garland can play Judy Garland. However, I do recommend the miniseries Life with Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows, starring Tammy Blanchard as young Judy and Judy Davis as older Judy. Both of them give Emmy-winning performances, and they do a splendid job. I'm personally worried that people will remember Judy Garland as being a tragic artist, the artist with problems, and becomes the example of what's wrong with show business. And though it's true that Judy was never perfect, once again, who is perfect? She has been married 5 times, but had 3 remarkable children, Lorna, Joe, and of course, Liza, whom she loved to the moon and back. She has touched more lives and has done more for art than one could ever imagine. This year marks Judy's 100th birthday, and as a great honor, Broadway artist Jessica Vosk and Tony nominee Andy Carl did a wonderful show at Carnegie Hall called Get Happy, a Judy Garland Centennial Celebration, which my wife and I were able to go to, and it was just fabulous, by the way. Judy Garland, she was just incredible. Let's close the year with her very own inspirational quote. Well, we have another whole new year ahead of us. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all be a little more gentle with each other and a little more loving, have a little more empathy, and maybe next year, at this time, we'd like each other a little more. That's entertainment. Now tell me, my friends, do you agree with my picks? What are your favorite performances by this legendary artist? Please share in the comments below. Please share. I absolutely love hearing from you all. It makes me so happy, I can't even tell you. If you like this, I dare ask, please click like, please subscribe, and be sure to ring that bell to stay updated on more content to come, which will be very, very soon. Also, you can follow me on Patreon to get more content a lot faster. And as always, my friends, thank you all so very much for watching. And make sure to have a merry little Christmas with all of your loved ones, because there's no place like home for the holidays.